whatever it is.
Welcome to the Tuesday, August 2nd, 2016 meeting of the Hot Springs Board of Directors. Tonight, our invocation will be led by Reverend David Mosley, to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand with me at this time?
Thank you. Would you join me as I pray? Eternal God, we pause in this moment because we know that we are not as capable and as powerful as we like to think. I understand that you have put within each of us the ability to do good, to excel, to gather strength with others, to accomplish what no one alone can do. I thank you for these people who are servants at heart. That is evident by the fact that they are here and undergo all the things they must undergo just to help their community. I thank you that there is faith in this room that never lets any individual circumstance dictate what the future will be, yet knowing that that future is empowered by, enabled by, brought to fruition by a power greater than our own. So as we are silent here for a moment, gathered to do the business that's at hand, I pray that your Spirit will be upon each person. Wisdom, discernment, understanding will be upon them. And when the work is done, they will know that they have done their best. I know that you can do that in the heart and the life of each individual here. So I pray that you do that, Lord, now, today, in this moment. And I pray this in the name of the blessed Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we probably need to introduce Reverend Mosley. He's the new pastor at the First United Methodist Church. I think he's just been there a few weeks, maybe? 4 weeks? Okay. Welcome to Hot Springs. We're glad you came here to live, and we appreciate you being here.
He just happens to be my minister.
Oh, does he just
Yes.
happen to be? Well, I'm glad. I'm glad
Well,
glad you got him.
And since you said something, Mayor, this is his second tour of duty in Hot Springs. He's a former pastor of Grand Avenue United
Oh,
Methodist
is
Church.
he? So he had you first, and you.
No, I was at First Methodist. I wasn't at Grand Avenue when he was there, but anyway.
Okay, that's great.
He came after I left.
Did he? Okay. Well, we're glad you're here with us now, and thank you. So we will call this meeting to order. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Davidson.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Clark.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Ramick.
Here.
Folly.
Here.
Carney.
Here. Wait a minute. I'm signing my grandkids away here. Just a second. Okay. The first item of business is to consider the approval of the agenda. Directors, are there any items of corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda, or including items to be removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I move for approval of the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, it is adopted. The next item of business is the approval of the minutes of the board meeting, which was held on July the 19th, 2016. Are there any corrections, additions, deletions, or modifications to the agenda?
Madam Mayor, I move approval of the minutes as written.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. It is approved. In an effort to afford everyone an equal and orderly opportunity to address the items on tonight's agenda, we ask that all of our citizens and guests adhere to the 3-minute limit on your comments. I'm not sure if we have anybody signed up for those or not. But if you did sign up, it's a 3-minute limit. And for your convenience, we'll display the clock timer in the monitors. And we ask that the members of the board, if you have questions of the speaker, we ask that you reserve your comments until the discussion, all the speakers have been heard. As a reminder, would everyone please speak into the microphone so that everything can be heard by those attending? And we also ask that all cell phones be silenced, and please refrain from any disruptions of the meeting so that we may carry on with our business of the city. And we thank all of you for being here tonight. We appreciate your presence. We appreciate your interest in what's going on in our town. At this time, do we have guests that are signed up for right now, or you guys, you're going to present something later, right? Okay, so we will not have that guest recognition just yet. Now we have our city manager's report, and our city manager is somewhere in the far country, far, far away, and now we have Bill. Welcome back, Bill.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. As you know, Mr. Frazier is on an adventurous trip, and we wish him certainly a safe travel home.
And what's he hunting? What is it, sheep?
I believe it's sheep in British Columbia.
Yeah. He said not to call.
He's off the grid, but we're in capable hands.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Just a few things, actually several things that I'd like to mention to the board tonight. First, we want to recognize our city sales tax is up 7.27% for May and up 7.91% of the year. I think that's just indicative of all the great things that are happening in this great city we call Hot Springs. It's great to be a part of it, and we hope that trend continues in the future. Some of the positive things that we've heard over the last couple of weeks, had some kudos to our solid waste department, and wanted to read this letter that we received from Sandy and Joe Jordan. It says, "We just wanted to let you know what a wonderful job our sanitation crew does for us and our neighbors. We don't know their names, but they are the crew that serves our neighborhood on Trojan Terrace. They are fast, efficient, and go the extra mile to be sure that no trash is left behind in the street. We appreciate them and the service they provide. We also appreciate their friendly smiles and waves when we were up early enough to see them in action. Too often people take for granted the services provided by your department, so we just wanted to officially say thanks to our guys and to you and your entire department. Our lives would be a mess without you." And that was sent to Mr. Atkinson. The gentleman that actually, she said that she didn't know their names, but that's John Mutter, Ralph Watson, and Brandon Thomas, and all of the employees for the Solid Waste Department do a great job for the citizens of the city. The Arkansas Coalition for Obesity Prevention has recognized the city of Hot Springs as a thriving community that has been successful in increasing access to locally grown produce by increasing local farmer and vendor participation at the historic downtown farmers market. That was another bit of recognition that we received from the Arkansas Coalition for Obesity Prevention, and we appreciate that. Again, solid waste, we have an event coming up very soon, August 12th and August 13th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Hot Springs Convention Center. You'll come in on the Church Street entrance, but they have an electronic waste recycling event that will be taking place on those 2 days, and that's been a very popular program over the past several years, and I assume this one will be the same. Anyone wanting additional information can contact Solid Waste at 321-6911. Last couple of bits of information. We're having an issue with police recruitment, and we're going to start stepping up some efforts over the next couple of weeks to try to get some additional applicants in. With the slogan, "Be the Change," Hot Springs Police is looking for dedicated men and women to join the best police department in the state of Arkansas. Stop by the recruiting table at tomorrow's Back the Blue community-wide event at 9:30 at the Farmers Market Pavilion, or visit our Human Resources Department for an application packet. The application deadline is August the 19th, and we certainly hope that we have a good pool of applicants there coming in. Those that have an opportunity, please attend the Back the Blue community-wide event tomorrow at 9:30. Citizens Police Academy. Residents can register until August 12th for the next Citizens Police Academy, taking place from September 8th through November 10th. This is a great way to learn more about the scenes, about law enforcement, and learn ways you can become more directly involved in its peacekeeping efforts. Class applications are available at hotspringspolice.com. And finally, Mayor, we have a public warning, and we want to make sure everyone that is within the public understands that it's very dangerous to enter the Majestic Hotel complex at this time. The City of Hot Springs issued an urgent public warning today that entering the Majestic Hotel active abatement site not only poses an extreme health danger, but is trespassing and breaking the law. Recent evidence of breaching the property has been reported to the city by the contractor DT Services, along with elevated concerns for public health and safety. This site is currently under surveillance and security fencing is in place. Anything outside of that building, I don't want to have any alarm from neighbors or anyone that may be around that area. This particular contractor abatement company, they're using negative pressure, and so the danger doesn't exist on the outside of the building, but entering on the inside and breaching some of those containment areas is very dangerous, and we don't want any trespassers in that building. Couple of more notes. Abatement of the Lanai Suites has been completed, and the contractor has begun abatement on the Lanai Tower section. Heavy equipment, degraded structural conditions, and the presence of hazardous substances contribute to extremely dangerous conditions at the site. Anyone entering the building without proper protective gear is at high risk for health complications. Those that are interested in what's happening at the site can watch live on the Majestic Cam. It's a live video stream on the city's website of activities at the Majestic Hotel complex. It's now been reactivated. You can find that at the departments menu of our website under public information or by clicking portal image located near the bottom of the city's home screen. The live stream is conducted by the Hot Springs Public Information Department in cooperation with the Arkansas School for Math and Science. So if there's interest, please go to the Majestic Cam, but do not go on site. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Yes. We got pictures from inside anonymously, so don't go over and take pictures. Go take pictures of Garvin Gardens and the Mountain Tower, and those are the places we need to go take pictures, not inside that place. Okay, the next item it's the Board of Directors announcements regarding upcoming events. Do we have some upcoming events besides the Back the Blue tomorrow morning at 9:30?
Yes, Mayor, don't forget the job fair.
Okay.
Web Center, Visitors Chapel, Church. I think the Baxter Plaza there, it's going to be from 8 in the morning until 12 noon. And from 12 noon to 3 p.m., I think it's when the children participate in different. So that's for everybody. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. It sounds like a fun event.
It's going to be
also.
fun,
Yes.
fun.
Any
Hot
other-
fun.
Any other upcoming events?
I won't be that
Okay. The next item of business is consideration of the consent agenda, and items in this section are of a routine nature and will be considered as one item of business without discussion. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Ramick.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. And I hope all of you, those of you that are watching also can do this, go online. I hope all the Board of Directors did and read the Garland County Hazard Mitigation Plan. It was very interesting, very in-depth, a lot of study that has gone into that. And it tells us exactly how many earthquakes we've had, how many tornadoes, strong winds, floods. There's a lot of information in that, and I'm thinking if you'd like to have a copy, you can see it online, but we could probably make some copies if you wanted those, because there's a lot of in-depth information. I know the fire chief and staff and all kinds of people have gone to those meetings, and it's a lot of work that they put into that. So please read it. Go online and read it if you haven't already. The next item of business is a public hearing regarding proposed wastewater bond refinancing. So we will open up the public hearing now, and we will consider the bond refinancing. Is Doretha?
This is not on the action item itself, Mayor. This is for a public hearing portion. If there's anyone to speak at this public hearing,
Did anyone sign up for
if
anything
anyone wants to come forward.
about the
Go ahead and
bonds?
give, Brian, if you don't mind, in
Sure.
this section, go ahead and give an update, and then your
Thank-
next item would be the action to take on the ordinance.
Thank you, Bob. Please introduce yourself and tell us who you're with.
Mayor and directors, appreciate it. Bob Wright, Cruz and Associates, your financial advisor. If you recall, we came back a month ago, July 5th, and went through an opportunity that had been presented to the city to refinance outstanding state loans on your wastewater system. Interest rates have dropped. There was a chance to lower your interest payments and save, at the time we looked at last month, about $300,000 net of cost of issuance. The discussion ensued, and in discussions with staff, as we've done in the past, leverage those savings while you're paying some costs and some fees to issue debt, leverage the savings and borrow up an additional amount for capital improvements on the wastewater system. So we discussed that, and what I handed out in front of you is the final results. We went through these pages individually back on July 5th. We don't have to go through this page by page. I can kind of give you the summary and then answer any questions. I know that on the next item for action is the ordinance itself. Ryan Bowman with Friday Firm is here to discuss that. You've got your representatives, Leanne and Jack from Stevens, your underwriter, as well as Daniel from Raymond James. So if you had any questions on the actual pricing, where the bonds went, anything like that, they are here as well. I will say that a month ago when we looked at this, as I said, we were looking at about $300,000 in a drop in payments by refinancing. And as you'll see on the handout, that savings is $446,000. So it's up considerably from last month. The amount of new construction money for the wastewater system is approximately $666,000 and change. So when you combine all of that and leverage that savings, your payments are increased very minimal from what you are paying right now. The interest rates that we looked at last month, when you factor in all the cost and fees, was about 2.53%. And what your underwriters were able to lock in this morning was 2.26%. That is fixed with your approval tonight, not extending any of the debt, just matching up with what you're doing right now. So all in all, we've had many conversations, and all three of our trading desks work well together and discussed going into the pricing, and your underwriters did a very good job in locking in these interest rates and the savings that they can offer up to you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate you being here, and we'll call you back up for all of that information in just a few minutes. Is there any other public comment on what we're doing? Okay, I will close the public hearing, and I'd like to back up just a little bit, and I should have put him on the guest list, but the item was on the consent agenda and there was no discussion. But we have John Carlton here from Firehouse Subs, and I'd like for John to come up just a second and tell us what you do, just for information for people to know about the donation that you've made to our city. And I appreciate you being here.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. I am John Carlton. I'm the owner of Firehouse Subs here in Hot Springs. Last month, the founders of Firehouse Subs, Chris and Robin Sorensen, made a $1 million donation to the Public Safety Foundation. This is Firehouse Subs' charitable arm. This $1 million has been earmarked to purchase 1,000 artificial external defibrillators, and then those units were to be given to each city where there's a Firehouse Subs that conducts business. Well, since we have a Firehouse Subs here in Hot Springs, I contacted the Hot Springs Police Department and gave them the paperwork to complete this grant. The grant is under consideration tonight. Once this grant is approved, Firehouse Subs will donate a a portable AED to be, from what I understand, to be used in a supervisor's vehicle that travels throughout the city. So
Great.
please consider that for tonight's agenda, and we hope that we have approval.
It was approved.
Oh, very good.
Already. That's
you
why
very
we
much,
skipped right
and,
down. But we thank you for being here, and we thank you for that donation. It's
Very welcome.
And
You're very
keep
welcome.
us in mind next time you get $1 million, or whoever gets that.
I'd like $1 million myself.
Thank you for coming. We
Thank you
appreciate
very
it.
much.
Okay. And the next item of business is the consideration of ordinance number 01641. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance 01641, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of wastewater refunding and construction revenue bonds for the purpose of refunding outstanding bonds and financing all or a portion of the cost of betterments and improvements to the wastewater system of the City of Hot Springs, Arkansas, providing for the payment of the principal and interest on the bonds, prescribing other matters related thereto, and declaring emergency. That concludes your reading, Mayor. If you would, entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and now we will have all that other discussion that we didn't get. Are you going to have,
You guys,
Mayor, I can take this one
Okay, you can
for
take that
Doretha.
one,
You
okay.
heard a lot of
Yes.
the information about this item from Mr. Wright. However, this is a recommendation from staff that you approve the issuance of wastewater refunding and construction revenue bonds, Series 2016. In 2005, the City of Hot Springs issued $9 million of bonds to the Arkansas Natural Resource Commission. In 2006, an additional $2.2 million was issued. Both of these bonds were to fund the Southwest Wastewater Treatment Plant. The interest rate on both of these bonds at the time was 3.25%. Currently, the balance remaining on these bonds is $6.2 million for the 2005 bond and a little over $1.5 million for the 2006 bonds, for a combined total of just over $7.8 million. The bonds are scheduled to be paid off in 2028, which is a remaining life of around 12 years. Rates are so favorable at this time that even the 30-year rate is significantly below the 3.25%. So staff recommends approval of this wastewater refunding and construction revenue bond issuance.
okay, thank you. And we don't have anyone signed up to ask questions?
Mayor, Mr. Ryan Bowen, bond counsel from Friday Eldridge Clark, is here this evening. If any of the board members might have any questions about the bond ordinance itself or the bond purchase agreement.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
The only question that I might have is that for the people in the bond business, at what point, when we have these, we refund the bonds and issue new bonds, in terms of what difference in interest rate do you? I know you don't do it every time you have a quarter, Is there some kind of industry standard we use to look at as to when that's? The lady is nodding, so she's got my point.
That's a good question. And industry standard, as we look at, when you're looking at the last page of the handout on the comparison, it's not, each deal is different. The term of the deal, the size and such. So we don't look for a particular drop in interest rate. We look for what the savings is generated, 446. More importantly, we look at what is the present value, what is today's dollars of that future cash flow that you're saving. And we're always shooting for, in the industry, a minimum of 3% of your outstanding debt. And if you can save anything above that, it's a common practice all across the country to lock those savings in. This one right here is 5.84%. So it's well above the minimum threshold that any other city would look at on a refinance.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Okay. Brian has called an emergency, so he needs to read that,
Well,
that clause.
we need to vote on the ordinance first.
Oh, you don't do the emergency clause before you do?
Do that separately. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that makes it an emergency after we vote on it, right? That we got to do it now before
Whether
the
it's
rates go up.
Whether it's effective immediately or 30 days from now.
All right. Hearing no further discussion, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. Now we have an emergency.
Mayor, this is Section 27 of the ordinance. It is hereby ascertained and declared that the project must be accomplished as soon as possible in order to make the system adequate for the needs of the city and its inhabitants, without which the life, health, safety, and welfare thereof are jeopardized, and that the issuance of the bonds and the taking of other actions authorized by this ordinance is necessary for the accomplishment thereof. It is therefore declared that an emergency exists, and this ordinance being for the immediate preservation of the public peace, health, and safety shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage. That concludes your reading of the emergency clause. If you would, entertain a motion and a second to adopt same.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
Would all in favor please indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, the emergency clause is adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank
Bowman,
you.
I have the bond purchase agreement for your signatures here.
Yeah, we're already signed and ready to go. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate you coming down and being here with us. Thank you. Okay, the next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01642. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. Council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
All in. I don't think
all
we
in
got a vote.
favor?
Yeah.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, now read the ordinance by title.
Ordinance 01642, an ordinance waiving the requirements of competitive bidding, awarding a contract to IPR South Central for Fairwood Force Main piping rehabilitation and for other purposes. That concludes your reading. If you would, entertain a motion and second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt and a second?
Second.
And the discussion would be Mr. Merriman. Thank you.
Larry Merriman, Engineering Division Project Manager. This request is related to rehabilitation of a 20-inch force main on the Fairwood corridor along Highway 270. As we discussed at the agenda meeting, it's a known technology. The application of this in this particular diameter is unique. It's unique enough that we pursued those in the business who are the best at this and who are willing to take on this task. This unconventional, or not unconventional, this untraditional method will allow us to do this work with a minimal point of excavation, approximately 5, as opposed to opening up about 2,600 feet of ditch adjacent to a very busy thoroughfare. We are trying to do this and protect the public as well as ourselves. In addition, we compared the cost of this to traditional open cut, and it's very close again, but also allows us to completely do this work without interruption to traffic, school traffic, all the things that will be going on when we're trying to accomplish this work.
Sounds great. Do we have any questions for Mr. Merriman? Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. Okay, and the next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01643. I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
Moved.
We have a second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01643, an ordinance accepting a public right-of-way, South Patterson, for perpetual maintenance and repurposing right-of-way for trail use and a utilities corridor and for other purposes. That concludes your reading. Please entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion
So
to
moved.
adopt? And a second.
Second.
Okay, and Mr. Carnahan.
Thank you very much. We received, you may recall that we received a $149,500 grant, Safe Routes to School grant through the Arkansas Highway Department, and that was a 100% funded, no match required by the city, and it involved 4 different sidewalks from our middle school, intermediate school campus on Main Street and Patterson Street. And on the Patterson Street side, most of the children, there's about a quarter-mile section of Patterson when children leave the east side of the campus with no cross-connecting street. So they have to go north about 1,000 feet, cross the railroad tracks up to West St. Louis, and walk along West St. Louis to get over to Summer Street and streets where their homes are located. So one of the parts of this grant, 1/4 of the money, is proposed to build a trail section about 400 feet long from the campus through an old road right-of-way that was platted and never built, South Patterson, to another street where they can quickly get over to the homes where they live, the neighborhoods where they live. So in order to do that, though, we have to ask the city board to accept the unopened South Patterson Street right-of-way from Patriot and Lester Street intersection north about 460 feet to South Patterson, and to repurpose that for trail and utilities corridor use. There are 2 sewer mains that come across that area. They don't follow it the entire 400 feet, but we'd like to have the option in the future to have that purposed for utilities in case we ever want to change the route of that big sewer main. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer them.
You have any questions for Mr. Carnahan?
I drove out there Sunday afternoon and took a look at this. That parking lot just above that, is that, if I am following that, is that where there's a practice football field or soccer field?
Right,
Okay.
a little soccer field
Yeah,
just north of that. Yes, sir.
You know, that will help with our pedestrian problem that we have with getting our kids to schools where they have no sidewalks. Doesn't solve it,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
it helps.
We'll be building, as a part of this grant, we'll be building sidewalks from each of the 4 corners of the campus, at least 660 feet. In this case, 400 feet is all we have, but on the other ones, about 660 feet off of each of the other corners of the campus. So it'll help get the children out to the neighborhoods, and we've already applied to the state for another round of funding. Hopefully we'll receive next year to continue it on even further into the neighborhoods.
Great. We need more and more and more of those safe ways to school. Okay. Any other questions? Any comments? Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Excuse me. Ramick.
Aye.
Foley.
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01644. First of all, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01644, an ordinance approving C4 Regional Commercial Open Display District zoning at 102 and 106 Vassar Alley and for other purposes. That concludes the reading. If you would, entertain the motion to second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay, and Ms. Selman?
Thank you, Mayor. The applicant on this item is Alan Thornton, and he is representing himself and the property owners, Jeff and Anitha Hill, in requesting C4 Regional Commercial Open Display District zoning for approximately 1 acre that is located just north of the existing Thornton Motors. The property is split zoned at this time. Part of it is C2 and part of it is C4 as a future land use map designation of Regional Commercial Center and Linear Commercial Corridor. It's in District 3. Vassar Alley is a short, dead-end commercial street. It's located off Albert Pike Road, and it runs north-south between Masters Place and North Mission Street. The staff recommendation to Planning Commission was that they recommend adopting an ordinance amending the zoning map by zoning the subject property C4 Regional Commercial Open Display District and amending the future land use plan map designation for the subject property to Regional Commercial Center because they would be able to make a specific finding that the requested zone change will help to implement an approved city plan in accordance with Hot Springs Code 16-11E. Planning Commission duly advertised and held a meeting on July 14th, 2016, to consider application RZ 160269. After calling for testimony and reviewing the record, Planning Commission, by an 8-0 vote, accepted the findings of the staff report and recommends that the board adopt an ordinance assigning C4 Regional Commercial Open Display District zoning and amending the future land use plan map to Regional Commercial Center for 102 and 106 Vassar Alley.
Okay. Do we have anyone signed up for that?
No.
Okay. Do you have any questions of Ms. Selman about the zone change? Okay. Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. The next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01645. First of all, I entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay. Council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01645, an ordinance amending the Hot Springs Code, Title 9, adding a new Chapter 8, adopting new regulations, and for other purposes. That concludes reading. Please entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
May I have a motion to adopt
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
And Ms. Selman again.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a request to make a modification to Hot Springs Code Title 9 in response to community priorities in our adopted city plans. This ordinance proposes prohibiting overhead electrical wires in new residential subdivisions requiring Planning Commission approval and in new commercial developments. All utility wires, lines, and/or cable in said developments utilized by electric and/or telecommunications companies shall be placed underground.
Okay. Do we have any questions? Any discussion?
I have a question. At what point do the utilities have to go underground?
At the time of new development,
Right, but they're coming there overhead. At what physical location do they have to go underground?
entering the private property.
Okay.
Oh, and this was a question too. If it's a new home or private dwelling, but all of that stuff's already.
No.
Thank you.
Yes.
Did we have any blowback from any of the building contractors or utility contractors on this ordinance?
No, and this was quite broadly publicized, and we have had no calls.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm just going to say one other thing. It's not what we're going to vote on, but what we're going to vote on next. This ordinance has an emergency clause. I see no reason why this is an emergency, why we should immediately implement this change. Emergency clauses really should be used sparingly. I mean, in the last instance, we needed to enact an emergency clause to get the lower rates, but I don't see that this ordinance warrants an emergency clause. Thank you.
I didn't even see where it said emergency
Yeah, I don't
clause.
see
There
emergency
is.
clause.
Section 5, page 547 of your packet.
Okay, wait a minute. Underground ordinances.
In other words, if we enact this tonight with an emergency clause, then this new ordinance and the regulations associated with it are going to take effect immediately.
Assuming that the board adopts the emergency clause
Yes.
after it's read.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, assuming that. But I really think that there needs to be some lead time on that.
Emergency clause. There
If
it
I
is.
could just make one comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Applications for subdivisions already in process would not be subject to this. Any development application is subject to the requirements in effect at the time that the application is filed with the city.
Okay.
So that's
So
it.
it doesn't matter, does it?
So wait a minute. Okay, everything that's already there, it doesn't apply to.
Right.
in an emergency clause tomorrow morning, if a new one's filed, it applies to that.
It would.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
On the original motion, without we're
Yeah,
not
without-
considering the emergency clause yet. This is without
Okay.
one.
This is the original motion. You want to call the roll on that, please?
Sure. Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Folly,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. Now.
Now,
we
Mayor,
have
the
an
emergency clause, which is contained in Section 5 of this ordinance, emergency clause, this ordinance being immediately necessary for the protection of the public health, safety, and welfare, and is hereby found and determined that an emergency exists, and therefore shall be in full force and effect from and after the date of its passage and approval. That concludes your reading of the emergency clause. If you would, entertain a motion and second to adopt that clause. Thank you.
Okay, I have one question on that, too.
You need to entertain a motion.
Entertain a
second to-
motion.
So move.
Okay, motion and second. Now discussion. Second. Is there,
we got a
you
second.
had a motion?
Yes.
And a second? Okay, my question on this one is, how long does it take to go into effect if there's no emergency clause?
30 days.
In 30 days it
Date
would?
of publication.
All right. Any questions about that? Any comments? For the emergency clause, okay? Everybody clear? If we don't do it, it's 30 days. If we do it, it's tomorrow morning. Okay?
I don't see as a part of the discussion, I don't see the need for delaying this. It can only complicate the planning department's initiative. The ordinance is already passed.
I would take just the opposite view. I think that if I'm unaware of this new rule as a developer and I walk in tomorrow, all of a sudden this has just changed my whole game plan. So I think we need to give more adequate notice of this change, and that's why I'm opposing the emergency clause.
I thought Ms. Selman said that they already had publicized it.
Well, it's been publicized. We've had 2 articles in the paper. That doesn't, but not everybody reads the paper, as you may know. But the fact of the matter is, if we enact this tonight, tomorrow we have a new regulation or a new way of doing business. So I don't know that everybody will be. I think we need to allow time for the people affected by this to catch up to it.
Okay.
No.
Any other discussion? Okay. We'll call the roll on the emergency clause. Okay?
Very good. Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
No.
Williams,
No.
Ramick,
No.
Folly,
No.
Davidson,
Aye.
Carney.
No. Okay.
So the emergency clause fails. It will be effective 30 days from the first date of publication.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01646. I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only. Do I have a motion? And a second.
Second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Okay, council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01646, an ordinance amending ordinance number 4062, renaming a portion of Corporate Terrace to Desai Patel Court and for other purposes. That concludes your reading. If you would, entertain a motion and second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay, do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Okay, and discussion. Mr. McFate.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the board. Denny McFate, Public Works Director. The property owner is developing a parcel of property off of Corporate Terrace into a Marriott Town Place Suite Hotel. Has requested renaming a portion of Corporate Terrace to Desai Patel Court. This section of street is bordered by property owned by Mr. Patel and will not affect any other addressing of Corporate Terrace with the name change. This will require an amendment to the ordinance number 4062 by modifying the street description of the existing Corporate Terrace. By approval of this ordinance, it will authorize staff to modify the street index description for Corporate Terrace and add a new street segment named Desai Patel Court. There are no street improvements required, and the maintenance of this renamed street will remain the responsibility of the city. Therefore, staff recommends amending Ordinance 4062 and approval of renaming this section of Corporate Terrace to Desai Patel Court. Any questions?
Okay.
Yes, does this meet city codes in width and curb and gutter?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Clark,
Aye.
Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye, it is adopted. Okay. And the next item of business is to consider ordinance number 01647. I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules and read by title only.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Council, would you please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance 01647, an ordinance accepting a certain street as a public street, Apple Blossom Place, naming said street and for other purposes. That concludes your reading. If you would entertain a motion second to adopt and have discussion, if any.
Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And Mr. McFate again.
Thank you. Thank you again, Mayor. The staff's recommendation is the acceptance of Apple Blossom Place and associated right-of-way for the maintenance by the city. This street is located in Forest Lake subdivision off of Twin Points Road. The Property Owner Association, POA, is requesting on behalf of the subdivision, because the developer is no longer in business. They've inherited this street. They are requesting the city accept for maintenance Apple Blossom Place, as I mentioned, which is located in Forest Lakes. The street has been inspected to meet city specifications with the exception of one short section of roadway that begins at the cul-de-sac on the east end and goes westward approximately 135 feet and is 16 foot in pavement width. Shouldn't be a problem with vehicle or traffic because there's a loop side on the opposite side, which is the north side of the street, which is 24 foot in width and allows for two-lane passage. All areas behind the curbs, including common areas, are to be maintained by the property owners or the POA. Additionally, the POA is responsible for any road debris or debris cleanup after heavy rainfalls resulting from the temporary fire exit located on the southeast end of Apple Blossom Place. Therefore, staff recommends acceptance for maintenance of Apple Blossom Place located in Forest Lake subdivision. Any questions?
Yes, please. My concern is the stormwater drainage there. I've been through there several times where there's a buildup of silt on the roads. Are we ready to accept that responsibility?
Yes, sir. That'll be part of our responsibility.
Okay, so anytime we have a significant rain event, then we will need to go out there and clean the streets for them?
Well, what I wrote in the ordinance here, if it's accepted, was that they're responsible for cleaning up the street as long as this fire apparatus that's required by the fire department remain open. The way that it flows, it doesn't flow directly into the curb inlets. It flows across the street and builds up along the curbs. But I didn't want us to have the responsibility of going out every time it rains to clean the debris out of the street. But I don't think the storm sewers will be a big issue for us.
Well, as you know, in the past, they've come to us and asked for us to do something about Energy's right-of-way through there.
Yes, sir.
And do some work on that. So there's no discussion of that anymore. I mean, we
Well,
over that hurdle.
that's actually on a section of road segment that's already maintained by the city.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any further discussion and questions? Okay, hearing none, would you please call the roll?
Williams,
Aye.
Ramick,
Aye.
Foley,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Carney.
Aye. It is adopted. Okay. Wow, did I turn the page too soon? Is that all? Whoa. That's it.
Madam Mayor, I have a question.
All right. That concludes the business section of tonight's meeting, and we want to recognize Jim Garland here. Garland. And sorry I didn't do that earlier. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you, and we're hoping you're enjoying your new job and that you're going to stay around a while. Okay, and I'll call you if the lights go out, right? All right. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate that. And you have...
I have a question.
Yes.
If my memory serves me, when we were at the agenda meeting, we had a public hearing scheduled for an annexation of about 40 acres off of Lakeside Road.
You
That was to set
set
the
the date.
Oh, that was to set the date. Have we set the date?
Yes.
In your consent agenda, what is the date?
September, I'd have to look. I think it's September the 6th,
It's in the
Okay.
consent.
I believe.
I recall that now.
I'll
Thank
see
you.
it there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Do we have any comments that need to be made by the board?
I do, Madam Mayor. There was a letter to the editor written time flies when you have grandkids at the house.
about
Yesterday or
it.
today or sometime in the not-too-distant past, about requesting information about developing a neighborhood committee. I don't even remember what neighborhood was, but I recall being so pleased because for the first time I'm seeing, the actions of the Whittington Valley community, the Park Avenue community, the Pleasant Street area, those neighborhoods are really growing nicely, and they're working together with the city, and we're seeing some really positive changes. I was thrilled to see that letter to the editor, and I hope that anybody in this city who wants to develop a neighborhood, if you will contact your director, we will help you get that done, if you don't mind me committing for all of you.
Okay.
Done it. So.
I would like to tell you where I went yesterday. We were invited. Congressman Westerman has been touring different places all over the state, companies, industries, and I was invited to go on the tour of the Reynolds Aluminum Company. The degree inside with my helmet and my goggles and my earphones and my coat and my boots was 120 degrees. You don't stay long there, and you don't wear jewelry. You get burned. So it was really a neat experience. It was awesome. So if any of you ever have a opportunity to tour, and they showed us how they make the aluminum, and all of the Reynolds aluminum foil in the whole world is made in between Hot Springs and Malvern. In Garland County. Is that Garland County? I hope that's Hot Springs County.
Yep.
But most of the people that work there live here in Hot Springs, and their families are members of our community. And it was a great tour just to see what's going on there, and the millions and millions of dollars worth of aluminum. I've just never in my whole life. One whole thing is it's $1. I forgot how much it was. It was like $100,000. It's fast. It goes really fast, And so we watched that whole process. I swore I had seen that place on one of those Jason Bourne movies where you go in and get killed, It's like, but it was amazing, that big, huge factory. So there's a lot of stuff going on around Hot Springs that we should really be proud of. There are a lot of companies and industries, and that was an amazing trip. Again, if you can, tomorrow morning at 9:30, there's a lot of stuff going on. Oh, today we had community coffee, and the room was absolutely full at the National Park. You were there, yes, you were there, and the National Park College, and all of the entities that really help make our community function and provide services. They were all there. It's really a great thing. And they honored our police again. You guys have been honored more, and you're going to gain weight because you're getting more food free every day.
Stop eating.
This has been an awesome community. They go in restaurants. People buy their food. They've been having food brought to them, and it's just been amazing what our community has done to rally around our police and our sheriff's department and our fire department. So that was really another amazing morning watching them and hearing what they had to say. So let's continue to support them and watch for them and
Stop by our booth.
And stop by our booth, yes. Okay. Any other announcements?
I do. Last night, the Hot Springs Music Festival Board voted to approve a performance that's going to be at 3 p.m. Sunday, September 11th, the 15th anniversary. And it is going to be a new composition premiered here for the first time. There was a performer in Little Rock that plays with the Arkansas Symphony, and her husband is a music teacher and teaches music composition at Henderson. And they have come up with this beautiful composition that is called A Time to Trust. And so it's going to be presented at at St. Luke's Episcopal Church at 3 p.m. That Sunday afternoon. But I haven't had a chance yet to get the word to tell David Frazier or Bill Burrows, so I'm letting you know now. We're going to send out an email to all the groups that are considered first responders. And we want to honor them at this performance in the front. It will be for them, fire, National Guard, our police, our sheriffs, our volunteer organizations, and all of that, but all first responders in the county. And it'll be a free performance, and we invite everybody to attend. And it'll be a premier performance, and it's honored. It honors the tragedy in New York, 2001.
Very good.
Okay. Everybody, yes, ma'am, you have another thing to say?
Ma'am, I was going to move that we
Do
adjourn.
it. Just do it.
That's her favorite motion.
And we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? We are adjourned. Do we have anyone signed up for after?
No, ma'am.
Okay.